be at the 2022 All Star Game in Chicago watching the best of the best compete on the brightest stage. The starters and reserves have been announced, but I can't help but feel like some deserving players were kept off the list. So we're gonna get into 5 players I think should have made the WNBA All Star team this year. I'm Jordan Ligons, and this is the Buckets 5. It's always tough to talk about the WNBA All Star roster because there are only 144 spots in the league. Everyone is great, and every team is a super team. So when you have teams like the Las Vegas Aces have 4 out of the 5 starters make the All Star team, you just gotta shrug. Everyone's really good, and we know everyone can't make the roster, but there are some players that are having a great season, and it should be recognized. First is Kelsey Mitchell. We will all shout it from the rooftops, but Kelsey Mitchell should be an all-star. At the time this list came out, she's leading the league in total points and leading the league in minutes played. This was her year to make her first all-star team. WNBA Twitter is outraged because we all know she's been putting the work in. She's becoming a star in this league. We're not too sure how much the Fever's last seeded record is a factor in this, but a season where she's averaging almost 20 points per game should be celebrated with an all-star nod. We'll be pulling for you next year, Kelsey. Number 2 is Alicia Gray. The disrespect has to stop. I know the head coaches make the selections for the reserves, but again, gold medal Lish might be one of those bubble players, but her ability to score at a high clip and shut down the opposing team's top scorer has to count for something. In a recent interview with WNBA.com, Gray talks about how an all-star spot isn't her goal, it's reaching an all-defensive team. She is more quiet in nature, and I hope that's not a knock against her when we talk about star power, because day in and day out, her game speaks for itself. I'm manifesting that she makes an all-defensive team. I do not want her on my snub list twice in one season. We're rooting for you, Lish. Number 3 is Elena Delle. Okay, I'm very aware that EDD is taking the role of a part-time player this season, but it happens in the NBA all the time. They don't play a ton of games, but they still get voted into the All-Star game. The Mystics have a winning record, and she's still a bona fide bucket getter. She's looking very vintage these days in the best possible way. Again, she's on this list for selfish reasons. I would watch EDD play basketball every day if I could, but she and the Mystic staff have their eyes on the postseason by limiting her playing time, and I gotta respect it. Number 4 is Natasha Cloud. I know Ariel Atkins is holding it down for the Mystics, but I just think they need more representation at this All-Star game. I feel like Natasha Cloud is having one of her best seasons of her career. She looks confident, she's leading the team, and she's leading the league in assists. Also, she can get flashy when needed, so I think just for entertainment's sake alone, she would have been one of my top picks. At number 5 is Ezi Magbegor. Ezi is a bright spot and an up-and-comer in the W. It would have been amazing to see her snag a spot on the official list for Chicago. She's currently leading the league in blocks and averaging almost 13 points per game for the Storm. Having Ezi make this year's All-Star team would have been a perfect way to signify the passing of the torch from the old school to the new school. But since it's only her 3rd year in the league, this Aussie has plenty of time to not only make an All-Star team, but to be a starter. I wish everyone can make the All-Star team, but those were my honorable mentions. I'll be on All-Star this year, so be on the lookout for more coverage live from Chicago. Make sure to subscribe to the Buckets YouTube channel so you don't miss any WNBA content this season.